third world nations, especially African nations, we've had this problem of leadership for a long time. How do you think, in your opinion, sir, can we solve this leadership problem in Africa?
You know, the leadership problems in all developing countries, not just Africa, but all of them, are really historical problems. And all of them result from the same experience, and that is colonialism. Oppressive colonialism in the last 300 years was not designed to produce leaders. It was designed to maintain followers. In other words, the colonialists had no interest in making the oppressed leaders. They wanted to make them slaves. And so there was no need for them to train them, to educate them, to prepare them for power, to manage resources. And so when those colonial powers finally took the chains off and released these nations, they ended up with nations that had a lot of resources but no leadership training. And so much of the leaders that emerged from post-colonial situations were actually leaders who were freedom fighters. They had to have wars for their freedom over the from the imperialist powers. So many of these become military people, or they become jungle fighters. Suddenly you have a guy who fought the military, he's now a prime minister or a president. I mean, this is amazing transition here. And so how do you come out of the jungle and become a prime minister? That's what most of history is for these third world countries. I had to fight for my freedom, and now I'm the prime minister. And I have no training to run a country, to manage resources, to develop programs, to establish institutions. And here I am in charge of a country. And so you could say that the leadership problem in developing countries is proof that colonialism failed in developing leaders. And I put this at the doorstep of the colonial powers who are still around today. Many of those powers actually blame continents like Africa. I mean, England and America and Great Britain and France. They look at Africa and they go, "You guys can't lead. Look what you've done. You're corrupt." And my response is no. The question is, did you produce us as leaders? Don't blame us for our lack of experience and development, our lack of capability and skills. You didn't train us. So I think that this period we're living in right now, where most of the leaders who fought for freedom are still alive, many of them are dying, but we got a few of them left. This is a whole era of what I call transition. It's experimentation. And what we need now is to prepare young men and young women who are trained as leaders, no longer just products of circumstances, but who have been intentionally trained to become leaders, to develop the skills and the character and the fortitude and the understanding of passion and vision and sensitivity and compassion for the poor, and also responsible for accountability. These kind of leadership needs to be emerging so that we can have nations that are quality nations, compete with any other industrial state, and maybe even go beyond them. I have great hope for Africa, and I would say, the average leader in third world countries, his age is 78 years old. That's the average age of a third world leader, which I think is really, over the top. I mean, when you hit 50, 60 years old, you should be mentoring someone to take your place. But it's a sign that many of them feel that their life's worth is attached to their title and their position. So they're afraid to actually give up power because they would actually be giving up their lives. And we need to say to them, look, it's okay, you've done well, you fought for us, you paid the price to set our countries free, you gave us a sense of destiny, we honor you, you can now take a rest and let the younger people who you've helped to free to begin to learn how to lead. And this is why in our organization we focus 100% on leadership training, because we have great leaders in third world countries who have not been trained greatly. And so if you provide good training for someone, they become very skillful and they become excellent. And I believe this is the future of the third world countries. It's not the people, it's the leaders. And if we intentionally develop quality leaders in politics, in business, in religion, in social development, and civic development, we're going to see the third world nations in Africa, Central America, the Caribbean, and the Far East. These countries are going to emerge as the greatest future nations in the world. And Nigeria is no different. I believe the best is yet to come for nations like Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a pleasure.
If you've been watching the program, I've been talking with a living legend, Dr. Miles Monroe, arguably one of the wisest men alive today, and I'm sure you've benefited from the things you've heard. Nothing works except you work it. So whatever you heard today, you have to do something about it, and that's when it will work for you. Thank you, sir, for coming on.